trying to reassure Americans about the war on ISIS. Is he headed the right way? If not, what is the right way? Let's discuss with Texas Congressman Will Hurd, freshman member of the House. He's on the Homeland Security Committee, but maybe more importantly for this discussion, he's a former CIA undercover officer serving 10 years in the Middle East and South Asia. Congressman, welcome to the show. Thank you for being with us. Based on what you heard last night, does the president have it right? If not, how so?
Well, if his goal was to reassure the American people that we're going in the right direction, I don't think he accomplished that. One of the things that I wish he would have said last night is that, I just got off the phone with the director of the CIA, and I told the CIA to double the amount of human intelligence that's coming out of Syria and Iraq in the next 45 days. Why is that important? The more human intelligence we get, the more information we can send to our Air Force to continue bombing locations in that country. If you don't have the intelligence, you're not able to do that.
All right.
Another area I wish you would...
Keep going,
Go
please.
ahead,
What's
Chris.
the other area?
No, I think the other area I wish you would have said is that I just got off the phone with Vladimir Putin and told him to stop his shenanigans in Syria. The Russians are bombing locations in Syria and Iraq, and yes, they have hit some locations of ISIS, but they're also hitting locations of rebels that we're supporting. Why does this matter? The only way we're going to really root out ISIS in Syria and Iraq is doing it with local partners. And if we're allowing the Russians to bomb the locations of some of these groups that we're trying to support to fight ISIS, they're not going to work with us. The other issue, some of our moderate Sunni Arab partners in the region that want to help with the fight are concerned that this administration is pivoting towards Iran based on the Iran deal from earlier in the year. So these are all the factors that complicate a difficult task in that region.
It seems that there's a growing call, certainly from your party, for more troops on the ground, that that'll be the answer. Do you agree?
Well, we already have troops on the ground, and more are going. What the actual numbers should be, I think we should leave that up to our combatant commanders. But we have a model out there on what can be successful. If you look to Afghanistan in 2001, in December of 2001, when the city of Kandahar fell, Kandahar is in southern Afghanistan. It was the capital of the Taliban. We had killed 2/3 of al-Qaeda leadership, had pushed the Taliban out of the country, and there were 400 Americans on the ground. 300 Special Forces, 100 CIA. We were able to do this because the greatest Air Force the world had ever seen was involved, and we were working with local groups like the Northern Alliance and some Pashtun tribal groups. And those dynamics exist right now in Syria, and we need to be taking advantage of them.
But, I have to tell you, Congressman, it doesn't sound like there's that much space between what you're saying and the current strategy. You want more human intelligence. The administration is that way. You talk about local partners, which is a point that the administration has been impressing for a long time, that it has to be about the partners there. They have to lead, not us. The GOP makes it sound like the president's in the opposite direction where he should be. Doesn't sound like that from you.
Well, words and action are two very different things, and we need to see this happening on the ground. And over the last year and a half, we haven't seen that. So I'm glad that the president are saying these things. Now it needs to be translated into action on the ground. One area where, he spoke about last night where I think you're going to see some cooperation is he intimated about the changes to the visa waiver program. This is something the House is going to be working on this week. We'll get a bit. I'm hoping that signals his support of this legislation. And why is this important? I was on a task force looking at the threat of ISIS to the homeland, and one of the things that we found out is that our European partners are not sharing nearly as much information as they could and should amongst our other European allies and with us. And these changes to the visa waiver program is going to enforce and make sure that our European allies are doing everything they can to take information that we give them and check it against travelers.
Good. Come back on the show when we have more meat on the bones of that visa bill so that we can test it and get people out there understanding it. Last question for you, Congressman. The idea of what we're doing right now and what the strategy is and how it's articulated. Do you believe that you should turn to your brothers and sisters in Congress, because you're a freshman, you're new to the game, so you're able to not be blamed by what's happened before you, and say, hey, if we're at war with ISIS, why don't we meet and debate, as our constitutional responsibility requires, whether or not to declare war? If we care about the strategy so much, why don't we debate the use of force instead of just capitulating to the president? What about calling for them to do that?
Well, I don't think we has all the tools that he needs in order to take this fight to ISIS.
He says he needs more.
Iraq and
As
Syria.
you know, he asked for a broader use of force. The guys won't even debate it.
Well, I think part of it, his advisors were saying that this was a political move to show that the country is behind him. I don't think anybody thinks that is not against ISIS. And, this is, you're right, I'm a freshman. I've been up here in Washington, D.C. for 11 months, and I still haven't figured out why people are calling for something that's actually not going to change the situation on the ground.
Like what?
Calling for this debate and an additional AUMF. Like I said, when you have the tools already that you can use for this fight, use those tools that you already have.
Congressman, appreciate you being on the show. Look forward to talking to you more about the visa waiver bill. Appreciate it.